A firefighting plane on the Greek island of Evia has crashed with 2 pilots on board. It's not known if they survived. A new scientific report says the fingerprints of climate change are firmly imprinted on the heat waves gripping much of the world. A firefighting plane on the Greek island of Evia has crashed with 2 pilots on board. The Ministry of Defence said they were from the Greek Air Force. It's not yet known if they survived. The accident happened near the town of Christos on Tuesday and was captured by a camera crew from ERT State Television. At least 3 other aircraft and around 100 firefighters were working nearby. Fires have broken out on other islands, including Rhodes and Corfu, as the country endures a 9th day of extreme temperatures. The dryness of the ground and high winds has made them much worse. The Prime Minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, said on Tuesday that we have a difficult summer ahead of us, as his cabinet was meeting to discuss the fires. He added that the Mediterranean is now a hotspot for climate change. The wildfires are still raging across the island of Rhodes, out of control. Desperate residents have watched as flames approach their homes, while firefighting planes and helicopters are dropping water on them. A 3rd successive heat wave is pushing temperatures up above 40 degrees Celsius again.
Η φωτιά στη Ρόδο είναι αυτό που ονομάζουμε έκρηξη της δασικής πυρκαγιάς, δηλαδή λόγω των πυρομετρολογικών συνθηκών οι οποίες επικρατούσαν, συνδυαστικά και με το προηγούμενο χρονικό διάστημα, ο πολύ θερμός και ξηρός καιρός, αλλά και οι ισχυροί άνεμοι, βοήθησαν πάρα πολύ στη φωτιά να αποκτήσει πάρα πολύ μεγάλη ένταση, να αναπτύξει πάρα πολύ μεγάλα θερμικά φορτία και αυτό οδήγησε τελικά στην έκρηξή της. Και λέγοντας έκρηξη, εννοούμε ότι ξαφνικά η φωτιά, αποκτώντας όλη αυτή την ένταση, αρχίζει να εξαπλώνεται ραγδαία και να εμφανίζει αυτό που ονομάζουμε ακραία συμπεριφορά.
The poor management of forests is also a factor. Over time, vegetation accumulates, and when it dries out, it's highly flammable. Ultimately, extreme fires cannot be brought under control, Giannaros says. All that can be done is to evacuate people to safer locations.
Αν μιλάμε για μια δασική πυρκαγιά η οποία εμφανίζει ακραία συμπεριφορά, όχι, δεν αντιμετωπίζεται. Αυτό θα πρέπει να το καταλάβουμε ότι πυρκαγιές, ακραίες δασικές πυρκαγιές, οι οποίες μπορεί να καταλήξουν και να γίνουν μέγα πυρκαγιές, δεν αντιμετωπίζονται και αυτό δεν αφορά μόνο την Ελλάδα, αλλά οποιονδήποτε δασοπυροσβεστικό μηχανισμό στον κόσμο. Αυτό που μπορούμε να κάνουμε είναι να επενδύσουμε φυσικά στην πρόληψη, γι' αυτό μπορούν να μιλήσουν πιο αναλυτικά συνάδελφοι δασολόγοι. Ωστόσο, στο κομμάτι της ετοιμότητας και της καταστολής μπορούμε να αξιοποιήσουμε επιστημονικά εργαλεία τα οποία υπάρχουν ήδη διαθέσιμα.
Despite the near impossibility of taming the fires, many countries have sent help, including Turkey, Israel and Egypt. And the EU has now sent 500 firefighters, 100 vehicles and 7 planes. Death Valley in California, the hottest place on Earth. The extreme heat may be a mere curiosity for these tourists, but for others on this planet it is life-changing and even life-threatening. The fingerprints of climate change are all over the intense heat waves gripping the globe this month. That's the conclusion of World Weather Attribution, a research group comprised of international climatologists that released their findings on Tuesday. It found that our atmosphere, having been warmed by carbon dioxide and other gases for decades, has made the current European heatwave 2.5 degrees Celsius hotter, and the one in the United States and Mexico 2 degrees hotter. Using tree rings and other data sources, the report says this month's heat is likely the hottest Earth has been in about 120,000 years, easily the hottest of human civilization. In China, the report found that greenhouse gases has increased the possibility of heat waves by a factor of 50. And everywhere the heat waves will be more intense, more frequent and last longer. It's a cocktail that not only disrupts human lives, but is behind other weather-related disasters such as droughts and wildfires. And since industry began burning greenhouse gases, the world has warmed by 1.2 degrees.
Imagine being able to replace the battery of your cell phone, computer or tablet yourself without difficulty. This is the goal of the new European regulation on batteries, which aims to facilitate the processing of this waste and make the economy more circular. By 2027, end users must be able to remove and replace the batteries installed in these devices. Manufacturers sometimes use tricks to make this more difficult.
À chaque fois qu'on enlève une batterie, on chauffe un peu l'arrière pour que ceci devienne un peu plus flexible pour ne pas arracher d'autres composants en enlevant la batterie. Vous voyez par exemple ici, en faisant ça, la caméra se détache. Donc ça, il faut faire attention. C'est des petits pièges comme ça qu'il faut éviter.
The regulations state that changing a battery must not require heat or a solvent to disassemble it, nor shall the user have to resort to special tools.
Certaines marques, par exemple, inventent des tournevis et des formes de tournevis pour qu'on ne puisse pas réparer. Mais ce n'est pas très malin parce que tout simplement, un nouveau tournevis est créé.
Manufacturers can also include a program in their phones that gives a warning message to indicate that it's not an official battery, a message that often confuses consumers. The goal of this regulation is to make repair, collection and recycling easier. By 2027, 2/3 of device batteries must be collected. This should help reduce e-waste, as more than 150 million smartphones are thrown away each year.
Spain has entered a period of political uncertainty as the country's two main parties both say they hope to take power, despite the fact that neither of them have a clear path to forming a government. The right-of-centre Popular Party, led by Alberto Núñez Feijóo, won the most seats but fell short of a parliamentary majority. However, he's already said he will explore all ways to form a government. Socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, who performed better than expected in Sunday's poll, has ruled out a second vote, saying democracy can find a formula for a government. He may try to get the hardline pro-independence party, Together for Catalonia, on board. But its leader, Carles Puigdemont, who's been living in self-imposed exile in Belgium since Catalonia's failed independence bid in 2017, has previously ruled that out. Spain's new parliament will meet in a month. In accordance with official procedure, King Felipe VI is then expected to invite one of the party leaders to try and form a government.
Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang has been relieved of his duties, according to state media. No further explanation was provided. In office since the end of December 2022, Mr. Qin has not been seen since the 25th of June. Since then, he missed several diplomatic events, including a major meeting of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in Indonesia around early July. The Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs justified Qin Gang's absence on the grounds of health reasons. But that was not enough to quieten online rumours and speculation of his whereabouts. Mr. Qin has been replaced by his predecessor, Wang Yi. Over the past month, in Qin Gang's absence, Wang Yi was already fulfilling some of the duties of the now ex-minister.
It's the symbolic death of Twitter's Bluebird. The social media platform's famous icon has been removed from the company's San Francisco headquarters. Its billionaire owner, Elon Musk, who bought the company for $44 billion last year, has changed its branding to an X. It's the latest in a string of changes he's made since he bought Twitter. Musk has long been fascinated with the letter, using it in his other companies, and plans to make Twitter a multi-purpose super app whose details he'll be revealing in the coming months.
The parent company of Credit Suisse Bank, UBS Group AG, has been fined just over $268 million by the US Federal Reserve. The measure was imposed over the bank's misconduct in its dealings with the now defunct investment firm Archegos Capital Management. The Fed said Credit Suisse repeatedly failed to address risk management shortcomings in its dealings with the firm and lost $5.5 billion when it collapsed in 2021. The fine is part of international action taken by regulators in the US, the UK and Switzerland.
Mass protests across Israel after Parliament adopted a highly controversial law to limit the Supreme Court's powers. Police used water cannons in a bid to disperse crowds as demonstrators clashed with them late into the night, and at least 19 were arrested. This first bill is part of a big judicial reform package and will prevent the court from overruling government actions it considers unreasonable. Critics say it gives too much power to politicians and is a threat to democracy. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave a televised address following the vote.
היום ביצענו מהלך דמוקרטי מתבקש. המהלך נועד להחזיר מידה של איזון בין הרשויות, מה שהיה פה במשך 50 שנה. העברנו את התיקון לעילת הסבירות כדי שהממשלה הנבחרת תוכל להוביל את המדיניות בהתאם להחלטת רוב אזרחי המדינה.
Opponents see the reform as a transparent power grab that will erode democratic norms and help Netanyahu's fight against his graft charges, something he denies. Others warn the legislation is a first step towards the wish of ultranationalists in his coalition government to annex some or all of the occupied Palestinian territories.
The Philippines made history at their first Women's World Cup with their first goal and first win. Serena Bolden scored the historic winner in the 24th minute, silencing the Wellington crowd. The football ferns, only 5 days earlier, had celebrated their first win in 6 World Cup campaigns. The result leaves Norway bottom of Group A after they were held to a frustrating draw by current leaders Switzerland. Elsewhere, Colombia got their campaign off to the perfect start with victory over South Korea in Sydney. Catalina Usme opened the scoring before 18-year-old Linda Caicedo doubled the lead, en route to a convincing 2-0 triumph. Colombia go into second after the win, and they play Group H leaders Germany in their next game.